Welcome to Jump Scare. I'm Betty B. Dudley.
And I'm Chad Youngblood.
I almost forgot my name there. I was like, wait, what's my name? Today we're going to be talking about Incubus.
Oh, and here's just a little taste of Incubus.
How is she?
There was tremendous amount of damage. Her uterus was ruptured. We had to do a hysterectomy to stop the bleeding.
Did you know that these same things have happened before?
What does that mean?
30 years ago in Galen, these same types of rapes and murders occurred. None of those cases were ever solved.
Yeah, you heard right. They had to sew her up. She befell some terrible things, and her vajayjay's broken. Like, it's fucked up.
Yeah, it's well, let's start off with the movie begins with the couple typically out for the late night swim in the quarry, like you do when you're young lovers. And the girl keeps, the guy's pushing for things to go a little further. The girl keeps saying no. Finally, he goes off to do something. She decides to run and hide in the creepy abandoned shack that's near the quarry.
It has no lighting. It's literally just dark, wet, and a terrible place to fucking hide. I would not hide in there. I would actually not be in the mood at all. My pussy would close right up if I was making out with a guy and I looked over and I saw that place, because I'd be like, you know what? I'm out of here. This is not, bad things are gonna happen right now.
Yeah. So she hides in the Very Bad Things house, and strangely enough, that's when she gets attacked. The boyfriend hears, he comes to see what's going on, and he gets a 2x4 with a nail in it right between the eyes.
Yeah, that definitely made for a limp dick. I'm gonna tell you that. He was not in the mood after that.
Yeah. So that's when they find, the next morning, they find the girl, take her to the hospital, and then we start the pattern of someone or something is out there attacking and raping women so violently that it destroys their uterus and causes them to bleed to death. They also find traces of a strange red sperm inside of them, and so much that they would think that it's 5 or 6 people, but it's all the same type.
Not the first account. Actually, that was dry intercourse.
Yeah.
She survived.
Because he did not get to finish.
Yeah, he didn't get to finish. We suspect. Because you have to... That's the word of the day. Woo! Suspect. Because there's a lot of this fucking movie that you have to leave it to your imagination. Because it's just like, okay, but what happened? What's going on?
What just happened? I don't understand.
Yes. She had a case of what I call the grandma pussy. It was dry like the fucking Sahara Desert.
And apparently that didn't entice the demon because he did not finish. Or didn't finish because he got interrupted by the boyfriend. And then he, didn't have time to go back and take care of things. So he just ran off into the night. And
flapping in the wind.
Yeah. And then you get the typical 1980s thing where there's a reporter, a plucky female reporter, who is investigating this. But our main character is really the doctor and his daughter who have just moved to town. Now, there's a strange subplot that never seems to go anywhere, that they imply that he's telling the daughter, don't tell people where we came from. We don't need any questions. And they imply that he might have been involved in his ex-wife's death, but that never really goes anywhere.
Was his ex-wife or his ex-girlfriend, who is a lot younger than he was?
Yeah, whichever one, I can't remember, but they make this big, implication like something had gone on and this was going to come into play later, but it never does. This is just one of the many subplots that goes nowhere or comes out of the left field.
Now, I have to kind of backtrack just a bit. This is actually based on a novel.
Yes.
And there's probably a lot of things that are going on in the novel that couldn't translate, or that they kind of just forgot in the transition, the adaptation of this. Who wrote the novel, do you know?
Ray Russell.
Ray Russell. How could you forget that? That's a
That's like a superhero name.
Superhero name, exactly. It's a comic book name. Ray Russell was his girlfriend, Jody Jones.
They don't say. I don't think this guy had a girlfriend.
Oh, okay. Well, no, he was writing. He was too busy writing about demon rape. That's why.
Yeah, that doesn't entice the ladies.
Definitely not. So, back to the movie. So we have now this person running around town, raping girls to the point where, I mean, she's the quote unquote lucky one. She gets to have her uterus sewed back up, and then all the other girls.
They do a hysterectomy, so.
Oh yeah.
No more uterus.
All the other girls though are brutally raped, and the rape scenes are a bit much. I really don't like films that have kind of rape scenes, but just to keep this light, they're not one of those like gratuitous like things. It just
you don't see a lot of like. There's not a lot of nudity, and you don't see a lot of what's actually happening.
It's just it's one of those things where it's like you don't really what's happening, so just by the description of like what's happening to these girls like parts. And there's one point where the doctor's like, she had so much semen in her, there's no way it could be one person. So just like little tidbits like that where you're like, yeah, this is a rough time, and it is violent. It's violent without being gory. It's very strange, but it reminded me a lot of The Entity.
Yeah.
Like, definitely the rape was very similar-esque to that film. If you guys have ever seen that film about the account of a woman that said that she got raped by a ghost.
But anyhow, our doctor.
Sam Cordell.
Sam Cordell, played by John Cassavetes from Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, so you already know what you got there.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. You know that he's in there with his daughter, that he's moved to town with his daughter. Jenny. And you see him come home from a shift at the hospital. He walks upstairs, and you see a young woman coming out of the shower. Our Dr. Cordell, is staring at her. He watches her get out of the shower, dry herself off. It's definitely the 1980s because she has got a crazy amount of bush going.
Yeah, she does. She has like a little hair pick just for her bush.
Yeah. And he's watching her, and you're thinking, oh, okay, this must be his new girlfriend, new wife. Well, he likes them young. No, that was the daughter. He just creeped on and watched his daughter get out of the shower, dry herself off, and go to her room. This is also the same daughter that he has a tendency to open mouth kiss in front of everyone.
Yeah,
no one seems to be like taken aback by this.
Well, it is Wisconsin, and they're pretty close. You know, teenage daughter-father duo. Maybe he was just checking to see if she was just growing right. He is a doctor. He could spot these things from a mile away.
Yeah, but he was only about 10 feet away, so he got more than he looked more than he should have.
Maybe. I don't know. But definitely, there's an undertone of weirdness between them the whole film.
Yeah, and then when you throw in the subplot about, like, that they kind of mention, like I said, they mention it and then they kind of just drop it, that maybe his ex-wife or ex-girlfriend was killed and it was his fault.
And they're not to talk about it.
They're not supposed to talk about it. So, again, you really don't get a good sense of what's going on there. But this is another one of those strange kind of things in the 80s where people who were not the police or worked for the police or had anything to do with the police would just suddenly start investigating crimes and start giving the police orders on how to do things.
Everyone was Nancy Drew at this point.
Yeah. He's a doctor at the hospital. He's not a coroner. He's not any of these things that could do,
Wait, wasn't he also the coroner? Wasn't that the joke that I made? Like, he fucking did everything in the town? Because everyone came to him.
He's like a pathologist in the hospital. He's doing surgery. He's doing everything in the hospital.
He's also the barber.
Yeah. But he doesn't seem to have any, like, real authority. Like, the coroner is the kind of guy that can make rulings, arrest the sheriff, do that kind of stuff. They don't mention that he has any of this stuff. He's just the main doctor at the hospital. because it's a small town. Everybody's pulling, double and triple jobs there. But he is perfectly comfortable about, oh, well, let's go do some investigations on our own. I'm going to tell the cops what to do about this. I just don't see that working out so well nowadays.
Hell no, that would definitely not work out. And I don't know why that was a fucking thing in the 80s. Maybe they were just playing in the whole, like, Batman, vigilante, like, aspect. Like, I'm a citizen that has a little bit of power because I'm wealthy. And I'm gonna be able to do all these things. Like, no one's gonna question me. I'm fucking Sam Cordell, PhD.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's random and weird.
But, there's the first rape that happens, and you get the feeling there's something different there. There's very strange facts about the rapist. By the time the second one happens, you definitely know something's wrong because the sperm that they find is red.
Red sperm.
That's never a good sign.
There's little horns in there too. Just kidding.
Yeah, when they show the little sperm swimming under the microscope.
Yeah.
Which there's a lot of them in there.
So, like, an unbelievable amount of sperm. There's no way there could be this much sperm. And I don't know if this is, like, the actual scene, but there was a rape scene, and I think it was this one, where it was, like, slow motion, like, rape. And there's, like, all these mannequins in the room.
That's the one that she works for the Historical Society. And it's, like, a weird, like, history of witchcraft in Wisconsin. And there's all the mannequins that are being, like, they're on the rack being tortured. There's mannequins dressed like monks. And they're during the slow motion demon rape, they're cutting back and forth from the rape to the mannequin faces. You're getting the very creepy sense that, like, the mannequins are watching.
Yeah, it's a creepy sense that the mannequins are watching. I went back to another film, a favorite, Tourist Trap, and I was just hearing the Tourist Trap music, like, like the weird fucking music they play in the movie. And wow, this rape is happening, and these mannequins are just like, they have no choice. They're mannequins. They're not going anywhere. They have to watch this.
Yeah, so they're just watching this, and yeah, she does not survive her encounter with the, spoiler alert, the Incubus. That's right. They've taken the old legend of the Incubus that, snuck in and had sex with women while they sleep. Now the Incubus is a rapist running amok in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I don't think he actually had permission in the original lore because the women were sleeping, so they weren't giving consent. But these were not sleeping women, definitely not. These were just working women or hanging out women, just very much awake. Probably thinking in the moment, this is really not happening. Especially when we reveal who or what the Incubus is towards the end of the movie, where you're like, how the fuck was this? Like, how did that happen? But we'll get to that. We'll get to that soon.
Around this time, they also drop in another subplot where the local boy that Jenny is seeing starts having dreams. And whenever he has a dream, he sees the face of the next woman that's going to be attacked. And when I say dream, it's the dream he wakes up screaming, running out into the middle of the night, the day. He's sweaty in that, like, only you can be sweaty in movies way, where it looks like you're drenched. Your face is drenched in water, but yet the rest of you is totally dry.
Yeah, they just, like, threw, like, a wet towel on his face.
Yeah. And he starts, I can't see you because of this, and I might be doing this. But it takes her a really long time to mention to anyone that, oh, yeah, this guy I'm seeing keeps having nightmares about where he's the one raping women. I feel like that's something you tell the authorities right away.
Yeah, she just thinks that he's, like, losing it.
Yeah.
Like, that he's losing it because in the beginning, the people that actually died were actually their friends.
Yeah.
And he can't cope. He's, like, grief-stricken and totally handling it. Like, he's just totally encompassed by this grief. So he starts having these dreams. So she kind of, like, doesn't really put two to two together because she also is going through something and she's trying to be supportive of him. So she doesn't really say anything until, like, way later.
And plus, he lives in what looks like it might be like Dracula's winter house. and he lives with his creepy grandmother, who's always dressed a little like the evil character in Insidious with the black dress.
Yes.
And she seems to have one job, and that's to walk around and look out Venetian blinds creepily at him as he's going away.
Yeah, it's like she lives like right by the window. There's like the little mini fridges there. There's like a toilet.
Cause she doesn't want to miss anything.
Every scene, she's in front of this fucking window,
just looking out there, watching him come and go, and giving him shit because he looks to be at least 20 years old, but she's talking to him like he's a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Then after we had our creepy mannequin rape scene, the next one, which is another one thing that I felt like they might have been going to develop something with, but they didn't. You cut to another doctor at the hospital who lives in a farm out in the middle of nowhere, who has 2 daughters, one in a wheelchair, and surprise, the incubus attacks.
Yeah, this one was actually pretty terrible because they were like they're teenage girls. They all are kind of. No, they're it's a kind of a mix of like teenage and like probably 30s women, but this one, you're freaking out, or at least I was like, oh gosh, please don't let this girl in the wheelchair get raped. Like, she's already in a wheelchair. Please don't pick on the vulnerable. And as the point of view from the incubus, like kind of like looks at her and then hears off in the distance like there's someone else in the house. Maybe they heard a shower or something. And he kind of goes, like, the thing kind of goes to, like, investigate. And it's the sister taking a shower, which you already know as a viewer because they kind of showed you get into the shower. Muff number 2, guys. Muff number 2. And, he, she gets it, definitely. But he kind of gets distracted.
Because he hears the girl in the wheelchair outside.
Yeah, the girl in the wheelchair comes, and she sees, her sister's already been, like, she's laying on the floor bleeding, and lo and behold, she gets it. The girl in the wheelchair does not make it out.
And neither does the father.
Nope.
He also gets what we call the old shovel in the neck trick.
Yeah, there's terrible shovel in the neck scene. It's pretty good effects, though, I have to say.
Yeah.
It looked pretty good.
And then again, we cut back to to Jenny's boyfriend, who's having the dreams about this, running around town sweaty and incoherent. And he happens to just run into the, another 80s stereotype, the plucky female reporter who's giving everybody in the town shit that they haven't caught this rapist yet, even though apparently there's only like 3 cops in the whole town.
Yeah, there's only 3 cops. Side note, now that I'm thinking about it, do you think that when Jenny's boyfriend called her, her number was 8675309?
It might have been, because they have to use the rotary dial phone too, so it's going to take a long time to dial that number.
So you go back, and now you have the girls that are now in the morgue. The wheelchair girl, the morgue is full of like bleedy. By the way, what was up with all the bleedy blankets? Like, I get like the sheet that they put over the girls, but the blood is like so much blood in the vagina area. There's only blood like splattered in that one area of all the blankets.
The rest of the blankets are totally clean.
Yeah, and it's like someone just like pollocked like all the girls laying down, all the extras who were laying down in this scene. The whole room is full of like bleedy sheet vaginas. And
that's my new band name.
Bleedy sheet vaginas.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. I would go see that. And then you throw like buckets of blood on the audience when you like leave the fucking stage. Yeah, thank you, bloody sheet vaginas, Wisconsin, and you leave bucket full of blood.
Yep.
So it's just the hospital's now filled with bloody sheet vaginas, and you just don't know what to do. And I want to like make a point. The movie does like all these like try to do like all these fancy fuck like camera angles, and they have a version of the Crusher painting, which is that famous painting with like the little demon laying on top of like sitting on top of the woman's chest. They have their own version of that in the Witch Museum.
Yeah.
So there's like all these little hints of like, hey, some spooky shit's happening. And then there's like weird scenes of like men in black robes doing like a ceremonial thing with this like naked chick laying down, like
She's on like the rack while they're torturing her.
yeah, which I was like, did the mannequins come to life in the witch museum and this is what's happening? Because they had a kind of like a scene
This is
depicted
also
like
another
that.
one of the things where they just bring this in. They don't really explain what's going on with it.
Subplot number 5,000.
And they also have the reporter mention, "Hey, this exact same thing happened 30 years ago," and no one remembers it.
No,
It's a small town in Wisconsin. I think people would remember. Hey, remember 30 years ago? Hey, Dad, remember when all those women got raped 30 years ago and you never solved it?
he's
But
like, no, son.
They never bring that up.
No, they don't. She just, she's the only one that knows this information because she's the only reporter. She's the fucking.
Apparently, she's the one-man show in that newspaper.
Yeah, she's like, you know what? I'm the fucking newspaper lady. I have all the knowledge here, and I'm throwing my fucking knowledge here. You're Sam Cordell. You're the PhD guy and the pathologist guy. That's what you're doing over there. Like, everyone's like the boss of their own jobs, but no one knows anything. Like, they're all like empty-headed.
There's also one of those, you can tell it's definitely an early 80s movie where when you go in there, first of all, the newspaper office, everyone's using gigantic manual like electric typewriters. And everybody's smoking inside the building too. Everybody has an ashtray on their desk because, hey, secondhand smoke? What is that? That's bullshit. That doesn't exist.
Definitely not that time. It's so weird how you think the whole time it's the boyfriend.
Yeah.
Because he's having these dreams and he's like losing it, and you're like, it's totally him. And there came a point in the movie where I didn't know the movie was ending because there was just so much that happened in the movie, but yet there was like, it didn't seem like there was gonna be an answer at all.
It very much seemed like about an hour and 15 minutes into the movie that they said, you know what, we're almost out of money, guys. We've only got about 10 minutes because you got to have about 5 minutes of credits. We've only got about 10 minutes left to wrap this shit up, so everyone needs to get on board. And they just without spoiling the ending of it, it felt like they rushed and just threw a bunch of answers at you that you didn't actually ask questions for. It was kind of a Jeopardy thing. Hey, here's the question that, you never ask, and here's your answer. And I just didn't see where it made sense.
It didn't make any sense. It was definitely a rushed job. They didn't put any thought into it. From what it seemed like, they didn't put any thought into it. So essentially what happens is...
Did we say we're going to do spoilers, or do you want to go ahead and spoil it?
Oh, I don't know, guys. I mean, are you going to sit through this movie? You should, because it's a fucking hot mess of a gem. It's one of those where it's like, you gotta watch it. I guess we won't give it away, but I'll just say that you would never think what's going on and who it is and what it is. That would never, when the answer is revealed to you, you're first you're like, what? And then you're like, what? And then you're like, what? There's a lot of what's that going on, actually.
It would be like if someone said, we found out who killed JFK, and it was King Kong.
It was King Kong, and maybe, well, no, they'll be giving it away. It was King Kong. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, the answer makes about that much sense. You can just picture Kong hanging off the side of the building with a sniper rifle. That's about how much sense the ending of Incubus makes.
And I think the novel's the same way.
Yeah, and from what I've read about the novel, I've been trying to track down a copy of it, but from what I've read about the novel, there's some very weird, like, the opening of each chapter starts off with a very vivid description of the witch torture. And then kind of cuts back to, hey, back to modern times, which the book takes place in California. I don't know why they felt the need to change that. I guess because obviously they were filming in Wisconsin or somewhere cold, probably Canada, and they couldn't pass it off as Florida California. When everyone's going around, you can see their breath.
Yeah, I think it was actually filmed half here and half in Canada.
It's like those X-Files episodes where they were going to different states, but everything always looked like Canada.
Yeah. The name of the movie does not fit what happens in the movie.
Yeah, the whole thing is just a hot mess.
Yeah, it is. The name of the movie should have been something else. And that they couldn't be something else because I think there literally is a movie that's named that.
Yeah, and it doesn't really make sense if it's... I don't know. The whole ending of it is just such a hot mess that like it feels so rushed and forced that they just had to... The last scene could have almost been played an entirely different way if you had 5 more minutes of footage, you know?
Yeah, just 5 more minutes. But I do want to point out, today do go to a theater. There's some horror-esque... I like when there's, like, background shit that you can, like, point out.
Yeah, kind of little Easter eggs.
Yeah, there's, they go to the theater and they're showing the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Which is very strange for a town in Wisconsin.
Yeah, because I know you grew up in Missouri and it was, like, the one movie that came to town.
Yeah, it feels like, you know, this is the kind of place that has one theater showing one movie and they're showing the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
It's like, no, they're not showing that. They're showing 9 to 5 for like 6 months.
Yeah. And there's another one where one of the characters has the "Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things" poster.
Yeah, which they shouldn't. Children, PSA moment, do not play with dead things.
Yeah, the other interesting thing about this is now the poster outside the theater is for the Rocky Horror Picture Show. The poster is inside the theater, Rocky Horror Picture Show. When it shows the movie they're watching, it is not the Rocky Horror Picture Show, but it is a movie featuring Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden. And where they got that, I don't know. And did they just steal this footage or what? I don't know how they did it, but it was back when Bruce Dickinson was with another band before Iron Maiden, and they somehow got him in there. I don't know if they just took that footage and put it in there and said, nah, he'll never know. He's probably never going to watch this movie.
Yeah, probably. And the name of the band was Copper Maiden. No, it wasn't. I forgot the name of the band. They do
Samson.
mention. Oh, Samson. Of course. That's the name of the movie.
Yeah, because he had super long hair, so, you know.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, very strange. He was probably like, I want to be involved in this movie, but I don't want to be in it. I just want to be seen for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, I just want to have an actual line or two in a movie. But instead, they just give him doing the weird 80s video vibe where it was just really a bunch of, like, all the singing heads. Or, let's blow some smoke into a laser light and maybe, against a black background, and we'll cut close into their face while they all wear black t-shirts. That'll be cool. No one's ever done that before.
I feel like now we have to do like a jump scare promo, and that's what we're doing.
Oh, that'd be amazing. We're going to have to do that. But let us know, have you seen Incubus, and what did you think of it? And did the ending at all make sense to you? And if so, please tell us. Please explain how. Now,
you can't be high, drunk, and any kind of like psychedelics. You have to be completely sober to give us the answer, because you can't be like, yeah, man, it totally like made sense because so and so and so, but you just like sound like a terrible stoner. Don't do it.
Don't try that. But yeah, if you've made some sense of it, or if you read the Incubus novel, it explains a few more things that were left out of it. Because there are a lot of movies where they drop subplots from the book, but they started them and then they either ran out of money, time, or scheduling, and they don't really finish them. And I've seen movies where they do that before. So that's what I got the feeling happened here, was that they kind of ran out of money to finish some of these subplots.
Totally. There's so many subplots, it just leaves your head spinning. But overall, I give it 2 knives.
Yeah, it's a fun movie. I mean, if it's fun as a movie about demon rape can be, but it's interesting, and it's one of those things that you would never see this movie made today.
Hell no, definitely not. Definitely not. No.
So it's one of those things that's nice. It's nice to look back at some of these movies and go, how the hell did they get this made? Who did they talk into this to give them money? Because, back in these days with the cost of film and everything, they probably spent $1 million on this movie.
Yeah, they probably did. And you have to like find someone that has $1 million that's just like, you know what? Yeah, I'm just gonna throw money at this movie. They're not even thinking like, I want to be like super rich and famous after it. Like, this movie's gonna like hit the box office and be just like a fucking smash hit. Because if that person thought that, I mean, I feel I need to get the DeLorean, go back in time, slap him in the face, and be like, wake the fuck up, guy, because this movie was never gonna make more than like $200. It's just not happening.
Yeah, but this is back in the day when you could go to like your dentist and ask him for $20,000 to go towards your movie, and then go to your lawyer or your friend that's uncle that was a lawyer and get a little bit of money from each of them until you got enough to make your movie.
Fuck, man, I need those people in my life. I could do with all that money. I'm going back right now, going back in time and asking people, just random people, for money. Give me
Finance
money.
our movie.
Finance our movie so we can make it in the future, and then you can watch it when you're
Or
95.
make it in the past and it's a lot cheaper, and then we come back and get rich on it now. Hey.
That's very smart. Found footage.
We'll introduce it early.
So thank you so much for joining us on this fantastical podcast called Jump Scare. And we're going to leave you on the note that this film had what we counted as 3 jump scares. Traditional jump scares. And it couldn't have had more than that because, I mean, you know, it wasn't like, surprise, I'm raping you. It was...
Yeah, after the first time, you really knew what was coming, so... We're
no pun intended.
Yeah, but you knew what was coming, so it was a little harder to try and maintain the suspense.
All right, chodes. See you later.
See you next time.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.